Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is still struggling at this exact area of resistance, but the price of Bitcoin is still forming higher lows in the immediate short term, which is something to pay attention to as we're continuing to see a lot of liquidity building above the price of Bitcoin in the immediate short term, while Ethereum in the immediate short term is continuing to play out this warning signal as expected, while XRP is also still playing out this massive warning signal on the larger time frame. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and I'll keep this quick because not a lot has changed over the last one day. Of course, the super chain indicator still sitting in the red, indicating a larger correction or a larger bearish trend on the larger time frames. And of course, on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, still technically have a massive bearish divergence to watch out for, which at least so far has not really been invalidated. But if we're taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin price chart, overall in the somewhat short to midterm, we're still playing out this oversold signal that confirmed about 2 weeks ago, give or take. And of course, over the last couple of weeks, we have been seeing a bit of a short-term bounce or short-term bullish relief from the local lows, at least so far, which is one of the most common outcomes from an oversold signal. And so at least for now, in the shorter term, in the coming days, maybe the next 1 or 2 weeks, this is still likely going to be playing out, at least for now, in the price of Bitcoin. And if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin price chart, of course, in the shorter term, while we've been playing out that short-term bullish relief thanks to that oversold signal on the 3-day Bitcoin RSI, while this has been playing out, of course, over the last 1 to 2 weeks, we have been running into this major area of resistance, which is still a massive obstacle for the price on the price chart, and that's sitting in between around 92,000 to 94,000. So at least for now, that is still acting as major resistance, as we have seen a lot of struggle and multiple rejections from this area. But what's very interesting is even though we have been struggling a lot around this area on the price chart and obviously playing out these short-term rejections, at least so far, just in the short term, as of recording this video, the price of Bitcoin is currently still forming higher lows while we're struggling at this same area of resistance. So in other words, the bears out there or the people that are selling Bitcoin are basically not necessarily increasing this sell pressure, because obviously we can see relatively horizontal highs, which means basically the sell pressure is staying at this same sort of level right here. We're not really seeing a lot of people wanting to increasingly get out of Bitcoin. In fact, we're right now starting to see the opposite. That's what these higher lows basically means. It means every little dip that we see, it's not obviously dipping further than the last dip because people are wanting to buy up Bitcoin the moment we see a little dip. At least in the short term price structure here on the smaller time frames, that is the current situation. And we call this price structure right here with relatively horizontal resistance while we're seeing an ascending line of support, ascending lows, higher lows. We call this price structure an ascending triangle pattern, which typically is a bullish price pattern. Statistically speaking, about 2/3 of the time, this type of price structure, this price pattern here, about 2/3 of the time breaks out towards the upside, and about 1/3 of the time it breaks to the downside. So obviously it's possible we can break to the downside, but statistically that's simply the less likely scenario. And so as of right now, so far so good when it comes to the price of Bitcoin in the shorter term. And like I've been saying just recently here on the channel, it is quite likely that we'll continue to test this resistance. And the more that happens, the more we squeeze up into this area of resistance, that essentially increases the probability. As always, no such thing as a 100% guarantee, but the more we test this resistance, it increases the probability that we'll eventually break that resistance and break out towards the upside. And so basically, for as long as the price of Bitcoin is especially forming these higher lows here, not really breaking below any of these previous lows here, then that's good news just in the short term, increasing the probability of a potential breakout. And of course, this ascending line of support for this ascending triangle pattern is currently sitting at roughly 88,000. And based on these lows right here, I'd expect some support at around 89,500 approximately. And once again, a lot of resistance in between 92 to 94,000. And if we're taking a look at the technical price target for this price pattern, if we first, of course, confirm the breakout above 94,000 and actually hold above that level, in that situation, that would set up a bullish price target for the price of Bitcoin based on this price pattern, sitting at approximately $107,000 per Bitcoin, which I'd also expect resistance around 106K to 107K. But even before that point, we also have this area of resistance in between 99,000 to 100,000, but between, of course, the breakout and the price target. But before any of that could even play out, remember, we still have this immediate resistance to pay attention to in between 92 to 94,000, which at least for now has not yet broken. And another thing to pay attention to is, of course, the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. This is another factor on the price chart telling us that it is likely we could see another bullish move sometime soon to take out some liquidity that's building just above the price of Bitcoin, specifically around 94.7k. So especially in between 94,500 to 95,000, but specifically that level right there, it's likely that sometime soon in the coming days we'll come up to hit that level to take out that liquidity. As always, no such thing as a 100% guarantee, but usually the price of Bitcoin tends to move towards where we have a lot of liquidity. And so time is running out for this potential trading opportunity that could start basically any moment now. The moment we confirm a breakout above 94,000, then that would activate this potential trading opportunity, not financial advice. So this is definitely the time to get set up, ready to go on a crypto exchange if you haven't done so already. And if you use the first link below this video in the description and in the pinned comment, that link right there will take you to this page right here over on the Pinex crypto exchange, where you can take advantage of some major bonuses. For example, if you make an account using that link, complete KYC, you get a 50 USDT bonus on your account. And there's also deposit bonuses. If you deposit as little as $100 using the link below the video to Pinex, you get a 100 USDT bonus on your account. If you deposit 10,000, you get a 1,000 USDT bonus onto your Pinex account. So some massive bonuses here, which is essentially free money from the exchange into your account just by making deposits or completing KYC. And then of course, you can use those bonuses, use the exchange's money in order to actually open a Bitcoin trade if you want to. But remember, all of these bonuses right here only available if you're using that first link below the video to actually make your Pinex account. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check it out. Once again, first link below the video. But if you want a no KYC crypto exchange to also place long positions, short positions for basically any crypto asset, then for that, check out the second link below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. That second link will take you to this page right here over on the 2bit crypto exchange, where you can also take advantage of some major bonuses that are only available using that link, so deposit bonuses, etc. But on top of that, there's also a trade protection and recovery fund that you can find using the link below the video. So if you make an account during this event right here, the first 7 days of trading on your account, you can get up to 200 USDT in lost funds back. So basically, if you're losing money on your trades in the first 7 days of making your account using that link below the video, then once again, you can get some of those liquidation funds back. And on top of that, if your account saw total liquidations over 50 USDT during this event that's running right now, then you also may be eligible for recovery compensation up to 1,000 USDT. So basically, having loss protection and also extra bonuses, everything like that, using that link below the video, the second link below the video to 2bit. And remember, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, and I'll keep this very quick because right now I'm saying the same thing that I've been saying for over a week now, which is that right now we're looking very neutral, lacking bullish momentum, lacking bearish momentum, just in the short term for the Bitcoin dominance, looking extremely neutral right now, which basically means a lot of the major altcoins on average will likely be performing very similar to whatever Bitcoin is doing, not necessarily having a massive Bitcoin season or massive altcoin season, just sort of performing quite similar to Bitcoin is the likely case for a lot of major altcoins on average. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, of course, right now we have struggled around 3.4k give or take, which was this previous price target for this W pattern, which already perfectly played out, and we obviously hit the price target, slightly exceeded that price target. But for now, we still have a bit of resistance around there, and of course a lot of resistance in between 3.6k to 3.7k if the price actually gets up there. And as for support, I would expect some support at around 3.2k to 3250, but especially in between 3,000 to 3.1k. That's a significant area on the price chart that we need to hold above in order to remain somewhat bullish here, at least in the shorter term. The short-term situation is that we're still in this bullish relief right now, but the imminent short-term situation, talking about a period of hours or days, is of course the fact that we've been cooling off from overbought here in the 4-hour Ethereum RSI over the last 1 day. And obviously, if you watched my last video here on the channel just yesterday, you'll know that this is pretty much exactly what I predicted in my last video before it happened, because usually usually when we see an overbought signal, we see just a bit of a cool off, which usually results in just a slight pullback in the short term, not necessarily crashing all the way back down, but a slight little cool off, a slight little setback in the short term, maybe for a day or two, is quite likely. And once again, that's exactly what I said yesterday right here, and has exactly played out as predicted. And this could likely continue to play out for a little longer, just in the short term, maybe for another one day. If we're going off what we saw last time, it's possible we could now start to play out a little bit of a sideways consolidation in the immediate short term as a very likely scenario. That's basically what I'm predicting right now. But remember, these imminent short-term corrections or short-term little pullbacks here and there from these overbought signals are currently occurring within a shorter-term bullish trend. Here on the smaller time frames, that's simply a fact. We are currently trending in the bullish direction, at least for now in the short term. Once again, here on the smaller time frames, like the 4-hour time frame, we are forming higher lows and higher highs, which is the definition of a bullish trend. And so potentially after a little bit more of a cool off, maybe for another day or so, it's possible that soon enough, maybe in a few days or within the next week, we could start to continue that shorter term bullish trend, because as the saying goes, the trend is your friend until the end. So of course, if you're trading with the trend rather than trying to trade against the trend, usually you end up being quite profitable. As always, not financial advice, but at least for now, of course, that is still the situation for Ethereum. And if we're taking a look at Solana on the 2-day time frame, I'll keep this quick because not a lot has changed over the last one day for Solana. So of course, the larger situation or the larger price structure still technically bearish, still forming lower highs and lower lows, but the short-term situation is that at least for now, we're still in the same sideways price range that I've been talking about for weeks now on the channel, in between this support and this resistance. First of all, this support is still sitting in between around 124 to 128, and this resistance is still sitting in between around 143 to 147. And so basically continue to expect the price to bounce and find support around this area of support that I just mentioned, and struggle or possibly reject from this area of resistance that I just mentioned, at least in the short term. And overall, the short term momentum is very flat. We don't have a lot of bullish or a lot of bearish momentum in the immediate short term, which is ultimately causing a lot of choppy sideways price action within this sideways price range, looking relatively neutral. And so honestly, for the time being, just over the next few days, maybe longer, but at least over the next few days, I do expect the price to remain in this sideways price range, just bouncing around between this support and resistance is a very likely scenario. That is what I continue to predict moving forward. So not a lot has changed over the last one day for Solana. So without wasting your time, getting straight into the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, and we're still technically being influenced by this much larger bearish divergence that confirmed multiple months ago. In fact, almost half a year ago, around end of July, early August, this confirmed. And I actually warned about this all the way back then. You can even check my videos back then on the channel, warning about this multi-month pullback coming next. And obviously that has now played out as predicted, but at least for now, it is still playing out. We've not yet confirmed the end of this larger bearish divergence for XRP. And it is important to point out that right now we're actually running into a very crucial level of support on the larger time frames here, because if we actually start breaking below this entire area right here, which is really sitting in between roughly $1.80 to $2, if we start breaking below this area with weekly candle closes below that area, and especially if we fail to get back above that area on the larger time frames, in that situation, that would be extremely bearish, because the last time we saw price structure like that on the weekly time frame was all the way back here during 2021, entering into the 2022 bear market. And what came next was a massive crash, a multi-month pullback for the price of XRP, continuing moving forward to much, much lower prices. And so I'm simply warning you now before that next move happens. I'm saying if we first confirm the break below $1.80 on the weekly time frame, so weekly candle closes below that level, and fail to get back above that area, then in that situation, if that first confirms, expect much more bearish price action for most likely a period of months for the price of XRP. I'm warning you now, but remember, we've not yet confirmed the break below this area. So for now, that is still potentially acting as major support on the larger time frames. And if we're taking a look at the daily XRP price chart in the somewhat shorter shorter term here for the last couple of weeks, for the most part, we have just been bouncing around relatively sideways with just a slight little pullback more recently, but for the most part, once again, over the last couple of weeks from when this bullish divergence confirms in the shorter term, have been playing out a bit of choppy sideways price action. And so at least in the short term, for the next few days or so, this will likely continue moving forward because for now, technically speaking, we've not yet invalidated this shorter term or smaller bullish divergence, which for now is still once again currently active. And as for short-term support and resistance to watch out for, we do have a decent amount of support in between around $2 to $2.05, which as of recording this video, we're still currently testing. We have found multiple bounces and support from this area over the last 1 week or so. And if we actually break below around $2 with confirmation on the daily time frame, in that situation, I would expect a bit of short-term support around $1.94 based on this low at the candle closes, and more support at just above $1.80. But remember, roughly $1.80 is really the last level that could hold the price on the much larger time frame. So we are getting closer towards some crucial levels for XRP. And as for resistance, if we see another short-term bounce, expect a lot of resistance at roughly $2.20 and potentially some resistance at just above $2.10, around $2.12, give or take, as a potential point of resistance as well. But overall, XRP will likely play out somewhat similar price action to Bitcoin, not necessarily the exact same, but let's just say if Bitcoin ultimately breaks out, that can actually help XRP just in the short term with potentially a little bit of a short-term bullish move. As always, not financial advice, but definitely pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing to figure out what could be quite likely for a lot of these major altcoins. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, at least for now in the somewhat shorter term, Chainlink is developing a new sideways price range between this support and this resistance. First of all, we have this level acting as support now, which was previous resistance and is now once again support, and that's sitting at around $13.40 to $13.50. Once again, that is the support right now. And as for resistance, expect a lot of resistance at give or take $15. But overall, technically speaking, this bullish divergence is still active. We've not yet confirmed any invalidation signal to actually invalidate this bullish divergence on the daily Chainlink price chart, which means overall, expect either some choppy sideways price action or maybe just a slight bullish relief as very likely outcomes, the most common outcomes from a bullish divergence. And so honestly, what is most likely going to happen, especially while Bitcoin's still struggling at this resistance in the immediate short term here, it's likely that Chainlink and a lot of these altcoins will continue to play out basically choppy sideways price action, looking somewhat neutral in the immediate short term within this sideways price range. But then once again, as I just said earlier, if Bitcoin actually continues this bullish relief and ultimately breaks out here, heading up towards these higher price targets, then of course that situation for Bitcoin can help Chainlink and other altcoins with some shorter term bullish moves as well. And so once again, if you haven't done so already, definitely get set up ready to go on a crypto exchange using the links below this video if you want to take advantage of those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price is doing here, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.